you could get a good headshot from your friend, but it's not gonna be the one that casting directors and agents will immediately recognize. People say all the time, without those headshots, I don't know if my career would have started the way it did.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Hassiem Muhammad, and you are listening to The Actor's Instrument, where we discuss the qualities that you need to stand out in the entertainment industry. In this business, your headshot is your calling card, and a bad headshot can literally keep you out of a room that could eventually change your life. So, joining me on the show this week to share what to look for in a headshot photographer and how to select that picture that's worth $1 million is celebrity headshot photographer Leslie Hassler. A graduate of NYU's film school, Leslie works on both coasts and has her photographs appearing in magazines worldwide, including Rolling Stone, the New York Times, Vogue, Glamour, New York Magazine, Elle, Vanity Fair, and she's been on many covers, including GQ, or rather, her photos have been on many covers. She has shot actors like, Idris Elba, Peter Dinklage, Dakota Fanning, Greta Gerwig, Giancarlo Esposito, Jason Sudekis, Lakeith Stanfield, Christina Hendricks, and many, many more. Leslie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I'd like to dive like straight in, meat and potatoes.
Okay.
What makes a good headshot, in your professional opinion?
It has to do with the person just sorry, take that back. Sorry, I didn't know what to say. Okay, that was no, that was a good question.
The hardest question.
Uh, no, it just happens. It's kind of like a magical thing. That's why it's hard to put that into words. You know it when you see it. It's like, wow, who's that person? Because it's something to do with their real spirit and essence and soul shining through their eyes. Um, I mean, for me personally, there's a little bit of playfulness where the eyes are kind of dancing. Where you look at that person and you say they're very interesting, they look interesting and cool, I wanna bring them in, you know? If it's flat and
Sure.
boring or they seem insecure, then it's just not interesting, so
I see, I see. So it's more than just like the technical aspects of lighting and the frame. There's a piece of it that has to do with like the person being activated in some way. Does
yes,
that feel
totally,
accurate?
100%, yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, you
do
need good lighting, but that's not the magical part.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you have any techniques that help to bring out that magical part? Like, do you have things you can say to actors that kind of, make their eyes dance? Or is it just it depends on the person?
Well, I might tell them when we have our pre-shoot meeting that just come open to play is something I say because it really is about playing. I mean, we're having fun and we get into something I call flow state, which is I'm sure everyone's favorite place to be. Even you as an actor want to get into that flow state. And so if someone does arrive and they're open to play, usually people are very excited at the beginning, maybe a little nervous, but we get, we get into that state through me showing them the pictures on the back of my camera. Like during a shoot, I might go, "Oh my God, look at this," and I get really into it.
Yeah.
And then, because I mean, naturally, I am very into it. And then they get elevated too. And it just becomes like this, you know, energy exchange between us.
Mm. And
Yeah.
actually, I because you did my headshots, and for the folks who've been listening to the show, I mean, you could check it out now. The cover art for The Actor's Instrument is a shot that Leslie and I did during our shoot together. Um,
Yes.
and yeah, I remember that aspect of our shoot where you would, like, come up to me with the camera like, "Yo, look at this," and I loved it too because, I mean, I don't want this to come off like, "Oh, I didn't trust you," but the headshots are so important to us as actors,
Yeah.
and so to be able to see as the process is going along, like, and seeing like, "Oh, this is going in a direction that I like," it kind of
Mhm.
allowed me to, like, chill out and be able to trust and say like, "Oh, she's doing a good job." Like, "Yes, that shot does look great."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not about of course, we do a lot of prep work beforehand, we talk about the vibes you're going for, we talk about what kind of role you're interested in doing this time around, if you've been in the business for a while, or if you're just starting out, it's really the same. Um, and someone, maybe a new actor might say, "Yeah, I'm really going for like a Jason Momoa, Al Pacino in Dog Day Afternoon kind of a vibe." And so
Hmm.
we'll get on a Zoom, and this always happens with anyone. Um, I'll I'll get some kind of an intuitive thing that happens, and I'll just say it without thinking. Like I'll say, I'm seeing like kind of a Paul Rudd thing going on, like a vibe of that, sort of sheepish, comedic, you know. And they'll say, "Oh my God, how did you know? That's like the real me. That is who I am." And so then I'll say, "Well, why don't we go for that also, as well as these other vibes?" And inevitably, that's the one that gets them in the room. And it may be because they
Sure.
think maybe an agent had told them something else, or I don't know. It's just about just really tapping into your true essence. I think that's when you get the magic.
Yeah. And this prep meeting that you have with actors, do you guys look at wardrobe during this time? If I'm somebody
Yeah.
who does give you Paul Rudd vibes, should I kind of pick a wardrobe that puts me in that direction? Like, how much does
Yes.
that matter?
It matters a lot. I mean, we try to do 4 or 5 looks in a shoot. So if you wanna do kind of a Paul Rudd vibe, it would probably be a sweater with a collared shirt underneath, a little nerdy. But
Yeah, yeah.
then, I mean, I've had cases where, um I mean, I do wanna tell a really interesting story in a second, but yeah, every vibe, every actor has many sides. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, we plan the wardrobe according to those different sides.
Heard.
Yeah.
Okay, what's this interesting story of yours?
Okay, so I have a friend, his name is Anthony Kerrigan, and I don't know. I mean, it's a beautiful story. So he was very successful at one point in his career on a show, and he ended up losing his eyebrows, and his hair started falling out, and he found out that he had alopecia. And he called me and he
Mm.
said that his agent had dropped him and his girlfriend had broken up with him and he was told to get out of the business. And so he's such a dear person. So I teamed up with this actress friend of mine and we said, "What can we do for Anthony?" And I had this idea, oh my God, like let's have him shave his head and do some totally different headshots. So he did. He came in, shaved his head in my bathroom, like we did it together. And I told him to bring like the rattiest tank top with holes in it and just like chains. And we did these really badass headshots. And within a
Sure.
month, he was on Gotham. And now he's on Barry. And now he's like a spokesperson for alopecia. And he's got, 1 million
Mm.
followers. And it's just such a beautiful thing to see.
That's awesome.
New girlfriend
That's a
also. Yeah.
Hey, yeah, I
Hey.
don't know. That old girl, she clearly was not it. Like, how
No.
shallow. But wow, what an incredible outcome from like a photo shoot,
Yeah. I know.
you know?
I
And
know.
and and I guess what you're also bringing up is truly just how important it is that we get the shot that really fits us and where we are currently at in our lives.
Yeah.
I don't know if this come off as whatever, but I'm gonna be straight up. I see
Okay.
headshots from actors and I'm like, you don't look like that.
Yeah.
And like, you don't look like that anymore. Either your hair is like radically different
Mhm.
or your body is radically different in some way. But I'm like, I look at that picture and look at you and I'm like, this is not representative of you at all. And that cannot be serving you,
Right.
you know?
Right. I mean, that's why it's good to do headshots every couple of years. I have this now friend, Anthony Williams, who has shot with me 3 times. And this last time he did it was about a week ago. Um, and the first time he had come to me and he said, "Leslie, I want to be on Law and Order." And I just said, "Consider it done." And then we got those shots. He booked Law and Order many times. And this time he came to me, shaved off his facial hair, shaved his head, and he goes, "I want to play evil. I want to get those evil, badass, evil guy roles, psychopaths even." and we work towards that, and that's his new goal. He looks totally different, but he's always got a new goal, and it's just nice to help him achieve those things, you know?
Mhm. Now, when your clients come to you with these different goals, what is it on your side that you're able to control? For example, let's take from a macro sense, film and TV versus theater. Is there a way that you would shoot those differently based if your client's like, I want to be a star on Broadway versus I want to be a star on TV?
Yeah, very good question. They're just a little bit different. Think about theatrical headshots, in a playbill or on the wall behind backstage. Those are where those are gonna appear or in newspaper ads and things like that. They're just more
Mhm.
theatrical, like very, thespian. I'm a thespian.
Sure.
They're more theatrical is the only word I can think of. Whereas film and television headshots are a little more, I don't know. It's a hard question too because I could say they're a little bit more cinematic, but it's really just what is the best headshot at the end. Like, I might put someone in a black turtleneck for a theatrical headshot, because it's
Uh-huh.
a bit more I don't know the right word for that except theatrical. So,
Is there any because you said like black headshot, I mean black turtleneck, that makes me think about like it gives me kind of a classical vibe.
yeah, that's good, that's good. Yeah.
And I feel like TV shots that I've seen that you've done give me a contemporary vibe.
That's good. Perfect.
Gro
Yeah.
that's kinda, like, grossly, like, minimizing probably what's
But
really
it's
going on
true.
here, but
But that's
yeah,
exactly right. Yeah.
okay, okay. Cool, cool. So, we've come to the conclusion that obviously it's great to have a good headshot, and it's important to get the right headshot. What should we look for in a headshot photographer? Right? Like, why can't I just have, like, my buddy I've got this camera I'm shooting on now, it's like a little mirrorless DSLR. Why can't I just have
Mhm.
my buddy take my shots there? Like, what's the difference?
Um, well, you don't get the experience with me, which is kind of like everyone should have that experience, at some point in their lives.
Priceless.
It is. But it's just that I think you could get a good headshot from your friend, but it's not going to be the one that casting directors and agents will immediately recognize. I'm not saying it's going to say, oh, that's a Leslie Hassler shot. I'm saying it's going to have this quality of excellence, first of all. Like, it's the best. I don't know how to say it. I mean, it just looks A level. It looks like you invested in yourself enough to I mean, it makes such a massive difference. People say all the time, without those headshots, I don't know if my career would have started the way it did because I landed an A-level job with an A-level casting director. I didn't have to start down here and get called in for C-level things or cheesy, trashy, like, horror films that I didn't even wanna do. I invested in myself, spent the money, did it right, and then it just makes sense that that would flow into A-level people responding to it.
So what stands out to me is you said it looks like you've invested in yourself.
Yeah.
There's maybe if you have an inexperienced friend, not obviously if your friend can shoot, then they can shoot. I'm talking about, I've seen people's headshots that look like they took it on an iPhone 12. And
Yeah,
so it kind of cheapens not just your shot, but it cheapens you and like your
it
brand
does.
and how you're presenting yourself. If I'm a casting director, I'm like, oh, they didn't even give it enough effort or enough of an investment to make sure that they have the best representation of themselves. It kind
Exactly.
of yeah, it's like, "Oh, how much do they really care?" Um, and
Yeah, I
speaking of this
mean
invest yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I get it if money is an issue, I get that. It's just that if when you want something badly enough, you make it happen. That's
Oh,
just my
absolutely.
one of my mottos. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I fully believe
No,
that.
absolutely.
And also
Absolutely.
my other motto, which is kind of like my signature one, is "Jump and the net will appear." I've always loved that because, any creative risk that you're willing to take, the payoffs are, endless. It's
Mm.
just jump and the net will appear. It's just so symbolic to me.
So speaking of investments and investing in yourself and your
Mhm.
product, Why are headshots so expensive?
Um,
Wha
well, it is it is
and
a
please be
process.
and please be honest because, from our perspective, somebody saying, "Oh, you need to get this every, like, couple of years. If you change your
Mhm.
hair enough, if you gain X weight, if you lose X weight, you need new shots." And it's like, well, Jesus Christ, like, it's gonna be hundreds of dollars. Sometimes, depending on the package you get, it could be $1,000 plus.
Yeah.
Why is it I just need pictures of my face. Why is it so expensive?
It's really not that expensive, compared to other things you might do. Maybe you might invest in $1,000 worth of clothes, it's just that it's a process that's not just a 4-hour photo shoot where we're together, it's several hours prior to the shoot also. We we connect. I mean, we almost become close friends during that time because we're connected and we're honing in on something, like, that you are maybe unable to do on your own. So I'm almost like a coach, I'm a
Mm,
therapist, I'm many things besides a photographer. I'm a wardrobe stylist. Um, you get a lot from what I offer. I mean, so many times people will say, "You really think this army green t-shirt with this navy blue blazer with the collar up is right? I would never think of this." And then from then on, they're wearing that, like, all the time. Um,
mm,
so it's just like, and then even after the shoot, we do a lot of, talking to kind of narrow down to pick the best shots. So it's a 1.5 month, relationship that I think is well worth it. Well worth it, which then, transcends into a lot of great positive things for you as an actor.
I think that's a fine argument for your services, right? It's like, because on a surface level, and even as I just presented it to you, it's like, "Oh, a 4-hour photo shoot, why is it this much money?" And as you said, like, "No, we've been prepping for this, like, potentially for weeks, and this is
Mhm.
going to help you for months and years to come."
Exactly.
Um, I'd love to get a little bit more into your process. You only shoot 1 client per day,
Mhm.
says your website.
Yes.
Um, so what does that day look like? Why can't you just, like, line them up, do 3 or 4 in a day? Why do you take the whole day, and what does that process of working with Leslie Hazard look like?
Well, we meet at the studio in the afternoon, sort of early afternoon, around noon, 1 o'clock, and, that's where we go over the actual wardrobe in person, even though I've seen it on Zoom and helped you narrow it down. So we're meeting to look at the wardrobe, get a little grooming from my amazing makeup artist, Juliet, and, and then we kind of choose which one we're gonna start with first that would look great in the studio. So yeah, we do a couple of looks there, but it's never anything set in stone. It's always free flowing. I mean, it has to be. So I may end up shooting way more than I thought I would. I may ask you to play around with like a hat, even though you're not a hat person. I may say, just put on this hat, just try it. And when someone does, they may say, "Oh, I don't know, I don't like it." But then the second they take it off, it's like the shot. Or the minute they put it on, they go, "Oh my God, I love
Mm,
this," or "It's so cool." Like, so that's another thing I also tell people to bring, like, a prop that's something interesting they have. Um that allows them to kind of play with something, takes their mind
yeah,
off, yeah. So we just basically play. It's almost like that elevated flow state just starts to happen, and then once we feel like we've gotten the studio shots, we, either get into my car or a cab, and we go down to a certain location, undisclosed, and we, do some street photography, and that's also very fun and very I mean, some people have told me that my headshots are alive and moving almost. And that's, I think, because I did go to NYU film school, so maybe my eye is geared towards like cinema, but I also don't like static headshots. I like a little bit of movement. And so the street for me helps with that because here we are in the middle of a New York City street with cars like coming towards you.
yeah,
And it's just really kind of exciting. So that's the
yeah.
second half of the shoot.
Heard. Yeah, I remember that was a part of the experience that I wasn't expecting. Like you were like, "All right, now let's go get in a car," and I was like, "Oh," because I knew we were going outside. I thought we were just gonna literally just go outside the studio, and you were like, "No, I have a location." We're going on location.
Mm.
So yeah, that was pretty dope. Now, what can actors do to prepare for the shoot that's gonna make your life easier and help their headshots to turn out better?
They can get excited. A lot of times if you're nervous, you can take that exact same energy and realize that it's the same as excited. So that's one thing
Mm,
is to come very open and I even help actors get grounded if they seem nervous that just get very grounded and open. And then, don't overbring the clothes. Sometimes people will bring their entire wardrobe, even though we've already picked the clothes, because at the
uh-huh.
last second, they'll go, "Oh my God, it's the last second. I didn't know what to bring. I had to bring everything." So that can
Yeah.
make things a little challenging to narrow down again.
Mhm,
So, you know, look in the mirror, try on all the clothes, say, is this what I want to see
mhm.
forever on the internet? Because it will stay there forever.
Right.
Okay. And then I will say that when I talked about flow state earlier, some every once in a while, like maybe once every 2 years, I will not be able to get someone into flow state. And
Mm,
so this is why I think I've figured this out. It's because that person wants to control everything. And
mm.
so try not to my whole thing in bringing this up is try not to control everything, but be loose because it's going to be a give and take between the two of us and an exchange of energy. But if you're trying to control everything, it's going to be harder, you know?
Heard, heard. Let go of control. Let go of That's hard for me to do, so Imma tell myself that. Um, how do you feel about how do you feel about actors sending you, like, inspirational photos? Like, if they're like, "Oh, these are 3 different headshots that I really like that someone else has gotten taken."
Yeah,
Is that helpful for you? Do you prefer
I
not
love
to
that.
receive them?
No, I love that.
Cool.
In fact,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
part of the homework that I give actors is to find inspirational photos that they're drawn to and share them with me so we can kind of go over that. And then, it could be a launching pad for let's bring in that same wardrobe or let's try and do a shot like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, n
So I
and
like it.
I can attest that that was a really collaborative part of our shoot. You know, I even when you said, "Hey, send me some inspiration," pro tip for my listeners out there, um, I went to a casting director that I have a good relationship with, and I asked them, I said, "Hey, could you send me like 3 to 5 headshots that really stand out to you?" Um, and he did, and what he said specifically, and this is something that really stuck with me, was he was saying, "These are the headshots that stand out to me as a thumbnail."
Mm,
Because what we don't see as actors is on Actors Access, when
mhm.
casting receives a submission, your headshot's like 2 inches big.
Yeah.
It's this tiny little square, and so, I look at the finished 8 by 10 and I'm like, "Whoa, that looks great," but it's like, "Well, how does that look shrunk? Is that gonna stand out amongst the other 100 thumbnails around it?"
Exactly.
Um, yeah, and so I appreciated that you invited, me and you invite your other clients to give you some inspiration because, yeah, at the end of the day, we all just want what's gonna help us book some work, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's all I want for you. So that's the end goal. And that's what we hope to achieve for sure.
Yeah. Now, you spoke about helping actors to relinquish control. Do you have any other pet peeves, um, in your experience with actors? The kind of stuff that you're like, if you could just stop doing this, that would be great."
No, I don't think so. I mean, I love
You
actors.
don't
Yeah.
you don't have any divas come through for a photo shoot?
Divas?
Or
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just accept it, you just take it, it doesn't bother you?
Doesn't bother me. No, not at all. I mean, yeah, usually I end up having a blast with that person. Um, yeah, we play great music. That's another aspect of the studio session is the music is so good. I mean, my playlists are amazing, but I also encourage actors to have their own, and we connect your phone to the speaker, but it's just so fun to be in there with
Yeah.
great music, great clothes, and getting your photos taken. It's an experience. It's flow state.
Heard.
So yeah.
Heard. You told a really inspirational story earlier about your client with alopecia. Do you have any like crazy photo shoot stories? You're shooting out on the streets of New York. Have you had anything like particularly exciting or a memory that stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I got to spend the whole day with Padma Lakshmi one day, once for a magazine cover, an inside story, and she came to my house and did like 3 hours of grooming and contouring. I mean, not that she's not the most beautiful woman in the world to begin with, um, but it was just so fun. I've got to say, like, that was really fun. And then I drove my car with her in the passenger seat to the outdoor location and did a million pictures. Um, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that day. Uh, what else? Yeah, I've had things like with Jason Schwartzman where I was shooting him for the Tribeca Film Festival, and
Uh-huh.
he well, that's another thing that I think is interesting when I'm shooting someone who's already well known. I don't necessarily ask them to bring a prop or anything. It just I kind of let them show themselves, and then I come up with an idea. So in this case with Jason Schwartzman, I said, um, "Let's find a prop." And so he got up from the set and he started walking around my loft, and I thought he was gonna pick up like a vintage camera or something to play with, and instead he
Uh-huh.
picked up a thing of red acrylic paint, like a little canister of it off a
Uh-huh.
shelf, and this, mind you, had like publicists and agents and all kinds of people there also, and he
Sure.
took the paint, he sat back down, and I thought, "Oh, he's just gonna put, like, a little bindy thing dot right here and do, like, a something," but he started to paint his entire face red, like, really, it was so unbelievable, and so then, like, 2 hours after that, he and I were in my bathroom with, like, nail polish remover, and we couldn't get it off. Yeah,
Oh my god. Okay, that is a
but
pretty crazy story.
you just go I just love that because you just go with it, and I have a picture of that, and I love it, of him painting his face red and me, like, going like, "What's happening?"
That's amazing that you really embrace what actors bring to the table, and you just work with it, and that you love it and you embrace it. I think that's awesome. Um, I typically ask when I have actors on the show what quality sets them apart in the industry, what makes them stand out. For the actors that have had really successful shoots with you, the ones who come back and say, "Leslie, like, this headshot changed my career." Is there something that these subjects have in common? Is it as simple as them having a pretty face? Like, what allows them to have such a great experience and walk away with such a great product?
The answer is gratitude. Um, and the way that that appears for me from an actor, like, for example, when I photographed Giancarlo Esposito, um, what a gracious person. I mean, he walked into the studio. I had asked him to bring a bunch of cool wardrobe and hats and stuff, and I swear when he walked in, I thought, like, Miles Davis was just instantly playing even though it wasn't, because that's what it felt like when he came in and we started doing these pictures with, like, hats and stuff,
Mhm,
and, I mean, that was so rewarding because of his gratitude. He connected me with his agent. He generously, did so many nice things for me afterwards, and he constantly emailed me saying, "Thank you so much for getting me into Rolling
mhm,
Stone magazine." I mean, that's the spirit of someone
mhm,
who I think gets a lot out of a shoot with me and then gets really successful also.
mhm. Well, I think that's an incredible answer. I do have one more question. It's a super short one, but I don't want to forget to say it because we've talked a lot about all these celebrities that you shoot. I mean, major, major names. But to clarify, you don't just shoot celebrities, and an average actor in New York can't afford your services. Yes.
Oh, totally, totally. I
Co- co-
think the majority of the people I shoot are actors that are either starting out or, just maybe have been in the business for a couple of years. That's the majority. Yeah.
Cool, cool. No, I just wanted that little clip. I was like, man, we're really making it sound like you are not reachable, but that's not true.
Oh, no, no, no,
Um,
no, no.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I approach each one of those shoots in the same way. It's really that's that person that I'm connecting with. So, yeah. There's no difference in that.
cool.
I do wanna throw in something else.
Please,
It's a different subject, if that's okay.
let's hear it.
Um, so we're talking a little bit about the creative process, I think, and I think that as an actor who's like, for example, you, I'm sure that you can get turned on by maybe trying a different role or a different character, and you don't want to stay keep everything exactly the same throughout your career. So something that helps me as a photographer is to always challenge myself and try something new and different. So I've also just recently boughten, which I think should be a word, boughten, a new lens. I recently bought a new lens, and that gives me something new to play with, something very different from my usual style. So
Sure.
I think that's important to me also, and to the people I work with, is that I'm not just repeating everything. It's always about what can I do that's more interesting or different. And
Yeah.
that's what keeps me excited about what I do also. That's
Mhm.
part of it.
I'm glad you shared that because it is important. There's another artist behind the camera as well. I'm sure your subjects are the ones that get a lot of attention. Again, we're talking about Giancarlo Esposito and Idris Elba and Greta Gerwig. They have a lot of attention, but there is an artist behind the camera, and you have your own process. And
Mhm,
I think your ability to make sure it stays alive for you certainly bleeds over into the product that you're able to create. And
mhm.
that's probably why you've been so successful and why your clients
Yeah,
have gone on to have so much success. Well,
probably true.
Leslie, thank you so much. I know this is probably really busy season for you, top of the year, everybody, new year, new me, new headshots. So thank you for carving out some time to chat with me today. If somebody wants to book your services, where should they go? How should they go about it?
Just go onto my website, lesliehassler.com, and there's a section that's bookings right there. You can also check out my new Substack, which is, of course, titled Flow State because, of course. Um, but yeah, you can book me through my website.
Amazing. Leslie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this conversation with Leslie, then you'll love a recent interview I did with the consultants at Artist Strategy, where we discuss goal setting for artists. So be sure to check that out. Thank you so much for tapping into this episode of The Actor's Instrument. Huge thanks to our co producers over at Red Letter Entertainment. We'll be back next Tuesday. Till next time, y'all. Peace.